What is going on, everybody? This is Troger MC, and today we are going to be continuing the look at some of my older figures, some of my first figures that I got. Today we are going to be looking at the first Spawn figure that I got, and this is Spawn, but not from Spawn. This is Spawn from Mortal Kombat 11, who was $20 back in the day. And as you can see here, it's from McFarlane Toys, and it is not a toy. They need to preface that. So, this is actually Spawn with the Malefik, or Malefik. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but, yeah, that skin from Mortal Kombat 11. And, yeah, so it's interesting that the first Spawn figure that I got wasn't actually a Spawn figure. It was a Mortal Kombat figure, but I digress. So, let's take a look at him. I think that he looks pretty cool. So, yeah, we'll take these out of his hand. Nah, we'll leave him in. There you go. So here he is with Marvel Select Spider-Man. So there you go. You can see he's actually quite a bit taller than him. So that's pretty cool. And then here he is with my first ever McFarlane figure. And as you can see, they're actually pretty much in scale because they're meant to be from the same game, fighting each other and all that stuff. So let's find out how tall he stands. Let's make sure that his legs are all good, because I have had a really hard time getting this guy to stand. It's not just because I've had the figure for a while. Let's see here. So he stands, let's say, 7.5 inches to the top of his head, and basically to the top of his cape flap there, or whatever you want to call that. And then that makes him, let's say, 19 centimeters, give or take. So here he is. I think that this figure is really cool. It's really interesting to me that it's like, this is the first Spawn figure that I got, because it was. And for a little while, this was actually the only Spawn figure that I had. Because when I first started collecting McFarlane figures, my idea was I'm going to get the Mortal Kombat figures and I'm going to get the DC figures. And I don't really care about the Spawn figures. And obviously that's changed since then. So I very much like the Spawn figures now, and I didn't know that back then. But yeah, I think that this guy, for what he is, I think he's really cool. To me, it looks more like a medieval Spawn than it does like a regular Al Simmons Spawn. So like you could say that this is Sir John, or you could say that it's the other guy. I don't remember the name of the other guy, the current host of the medieval Spawn in the comics, but it's not Sir John of York, it's somebody else. But yeah, I do really like the face there, where it definitely has that classic Spawn look to it, but it looks more like metallic and more armored and that kind of thing. His eyes look really good, though. His eyes look very good. I think that looks really cool. And yeah, I like the cape. The cape is really nice and soft up here in the top, and then in the back here, it looks really good. I really like the shade of red there. How it's kind of like a Spider-Man red, if you will. So there you go. I do like the folds on there, that it looks like this cape is a lot bigger than it actually is. So I think that looks really cool. I like how the spikes on his shoulder pads kind of stick out over the sides there. And yeah, those look really cool. The skulls on the, the clasps for the cape, they look really cool. I like the M pattern on his chest, how the M itself is in red, and that's like silver on the sides there. I think that looks really cool. And then, yeah, so you have this kind of middle design there. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but that looks pretty cool. And then on his arms here, on this arm, you have this design. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but you have that. And then on this side, you have, it almost looks like a skull, or something like that, like a bird skull on his arm here. Speaking of skulls, you have a whole bunch of them all around his belt here on both sides, and then you have this design again. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but yeah, you have some nice texture here with the loincloth or whatever that is, so that's pretty cool. And then on the sides here, you got some more detail there with like silver, and like, some leather. It almost looks like this is like leather armor with like silver on top of it or something like that. It's obviously not real leather, but it kind of looks like it's supposed to be. So there you go. And then on his boots, you have like a skull on this side with some stuff on here, and then you have a different design on there. And then I do really like that for it looks like he's wearing like armor, like this is like leather armor that he's wearing like for his boots, and then like for his gloves too, it looks kind of like leather armor. You can see like these straps and all of that. like for the belt area. But then if you look more closely at like what's supposed to be his actual skin, like the K7 Letha suit, you see that's actually a different texture and a different shade. It's like a different color of black or like dark gray. I don't know what exactly that color is, but it looks really cool. I like the attention to detail there. That it's like these are actually two different things. That he has the Spawn suit, but then he also has armor on top of that. So I think that that's a really cool detail there. So then as far as articulation goes, his head is, it can look down that far, and it can look up really far. So, well, not really far, but it's good enough. Then you do kind of get rotation. The cape does kind of get in the way, so it doesn't really move around a whole lot, but it can do some stuff. And then you have the arms. They go out about that far, given the shoulders there. So since he's from a video game, it only makes sense that he can do this. You know, he can like glide around the fighting arena and knock over boxes and all of that. But yeah, so there you go. And then as far as the arms go, you do theoretically get rotation, but these kind of get in the way. But it could rotate all the way around, and the cape does kind of get in the way too. But you do have a bicep swivel there. Then you do get a double joint for the elbow. So I think that looks pretty good. And this elbow joint doesn't look too bad. I know that some of the newer McFarlane elbow joints look kind of bad. This one doesn't look too bad. And then you do get a ball hinge for the wrist. So there you go. And then as far as the torso goes, it can go forward. Basically not at all. But, I mean, that's kind of a thing with McFarlane figures now. So there you go. And then it goes back. Does it go back at all? Goes back a little bit. A little bit, it goes back. So not a whole lot. So it doesn't really go back or forward all that much. But you do kind of see how it moves. So there you go. You do get a rotation there. And then for the legs, given this thing, you know, given the loincloth or whatever that is, it doesn't really go out to the side that far. But it does go forward I guess a decent amount. And that goes back just a little bit. So there you go. You can get him to walk. Even though I don't really consider walking like an important mechanic in a fighting game. I mean, it can be done, but it's not really the most important thing. You do get a little bit of a thigh swivel, like a tiny bit. Then you do get a tight, double-jointed knee. It's very tight, but you can kind of get the idea. So that's just 1/2, so it could go even further than that. But there you go. You do get a double-jointed knee. Then you do get the typical ratcheted like ball hinge type thing for the ankle, and you do get a toe joint as well. I forgot to say with the Harley Quinn figure, but she doesn't come with a toe joint, but that's fine because she had those big roller skates, but it's all good. So there is the Spawn figure. And then as far as accessories, he does have this, and because it's a Mortal Kombat figure, it says Mortal Kombat on there. It doesn't say Spawn or DC or anything like that, because that would be weird. But yeah, so he can stand on that, and I do recommend that because his cape is really heavy, so it's really easy for this guy to fall over. But yeah, so there you go. And then as far as his other accessories go, he has these things. And if you've played as Spawn in Mortal Kombat 11, which by the way, he is one of my favorite characters in that game. If you've played as him before, you know that he has some like necroplasm attacks, but he also has an intro where he's like walking up, and he has like these things coming out of his hands, so they kind of look like this. And so that's why I had him posed the way that I did in the beginning. But what you can do is you can have him hold on to them kind of like guns. So that's what you're supposed to do with them, is he has his trigger fingers, because of course he does. But yeah, so he can hold on to them kind of like that. And yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. So there you go. But I personally like the idea of him like kind of holding them up like this, so that it looks like that one intro animation that he has where he's walking up and he has these just kind of coming out of his hands. So there you go. But that is Spawn here. So the very first Spawn figure that I ever got. They could only make sense that I would do that. So there you go. There he is. And if you enjoyed this review, or you like this guy, or anything like that, do be sure to leave a like. Let me know in the comments what you think of him, if you feel so inclined. Or what was your first Spawn figure? Or was it a Mortal Kombat figure? Was it an actual Spawn figure? Kind of curious to know about that. If you want to see more content like this, do be sure to subscribe, because I've reviewed a lot of the older Spawn figures, and I do intend to continue doing that, but I also intend to review some of the newer ones that I have, so stay tuned for those. But other than all that, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.